Hey there folks, welcome back to Press for Truth TV. Today is Wednesday, July 18th, 2012, and there's so much talk going on lately in the news about some of these global banking financial institutions that are now being exposed for some of the corruption, some of the criminal activity that these guys are engaging in. A lot of us have known that some of these banking cartels are kind of comparable to like a global crime syndicate, like a mob family or something, where they kind of look out for one another, and at the same time they're very vicious and evil and violent and just ruthless in their pursuit for power and wealth. And as the old saying goes, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And we're beginning to see that as some of these scandals are beginning to be exposed on a global level. Recently, there's a case with Europe's biggest bank, HSBC, who have been caught laundering money. The U.S. wing of this has been laundering money for the Mexican drug cartels. Surprise, surprise. Here's an article recently from Al Jazeera. HSBC allowed drug cartels to launder money. Lax controls at Europe's largest bank, HSBC, allowed Mexican drug cartels to launder billions of dollars through its U.S. operations, an investigation by the U.S. Senate has found. The extensive report on London-based HSBC Holdings, plc, by the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations also says U.S. regulators knew the bank had a poor system to detect problems, but failed to take action. HSBC executives brushed off complaints from other bank employees so that the problems persisted for 8 years, the report says. In addition, some HSBC bank affiliates skirted U.S. government bans against financial transactions with Iran and other countries, according to the report. HSBC's U.S. division provided money and banking services to some banks in Saudi Arabia and Bangladesh, believed to have helped fund Al-Qaeda and other terrorist groups, the report says. Well, that doesn't come as too much as a surprise either. Lo and behold, it's the same bank that is laundering money for the drug cartels. Meanwhile, we know, because of the Fast and Furious scandal, that it was criminal elements within the American government who were the ones supplying the arms to these gangs and drug cartels in Mexico through the Central Intelligence Agency. And now we have different wings of this bank covering up the scandal and laundering money for the drug cartels. And now we see that they are also doing business with banks that have known ties to terrorist organizations, which, again, like in the cases of Al-Qaeda and groups like that, have been from the get-go set up by the Central Intelligence Agency and they supply the arms, they fund them, just like with the Mexican drug cartels. And HSBC has just been caught engaging in this activity. So it's great that this is beginning to be exposed here. The article goes on here to say the subcommittee released the report on Monday ahead of a Tuesday hearing on the topic. HSBC released a statement saying its executives will offer a formal apology at the hearing. We will apologize, acknowledge these mistakes, answer for our actions, and give our absolute commitment to fixing what went wrong, the statement said. The U.S. Justice Department said it is conducting a criminal investigation into HSBC's operations, but declined to confirm that the bank is in settlement talks. The U.S. investigations follow the Barclays Bank scandal in the U.K. over manipulated interest rates, which has provoked international outrage over what many view as regulators' failure to enforce financial regulation. And now that, of course, is referring to the Libor scandal that has rocked the world, really, because people are now learning that the interest rates that are set on a day-to-day basis globally are being manipulated by private interests. And I've been trying to, for the last few hours, come up with a comprehensive, kind of solid way of explaining the Libor scandal. And just in some of my research, I came across a short little speech from Dennis Kucinich, a congressman from the States, who sums it up. He does a good job at wrapping it all up in a tight, neat little package. And in his little brief 2 to 3 minute speech that I found here, there is a transcript to the speech. So he does a pretty good job at breaking down the scandal in a brief way. So I'll just share that with you today. Here's what Kucinich has to say about Libor. Late last month, Barclays Bank, a multinational bank and financial institution based in the United Kingdom, admitted to regulators that it tried to manipulate something called Libor before and during the financial crisis in 2008. Libor is an acronym for London Interbank Offered Rate. It is a rate used as a benchmark for the cost of lending throughout the financial system, and it is also used as a reference rate for a wide range of financial products like car loans, adjustable rate mortgages, student loans, and credit cards. The Libor is not based on an objective measure of the interest for bank-to-bank loans. It is the average of a daily poll of the association's member banks who give an estimate of the interest rate that they think they would pay if they sought to borrow from another bank. It is supposed to be the way that the financial system assesses the overall health of the financial system, because if the banks being polled feel confident about the state of things, they report a low number because they assume that if they had to borrow from another bank, their cost of borrowing would be low. If member banks feel a low degree of confidence in the financial system, they report a higher interest rates. And from that, the Libor is calculated, affecting the interest rate on financial products all around the globe. What has emerged from the Barclays Bank inquiry is evidence that banks may have in fact been deliberately manipulating Libor rates for years. The evidence so far is that one arm of a bank responding to the Libor poll would change their number based on what another arm of the same bank wanted. And that other arm could consist of a bank's traders who make their money on whether the rate goes up or down. This means that millions of consumers, investors, and businesses have been paying the wrong interest rate. Or rather, they've been paying an interest rate that is set according to some legitimate benchmark. Instead, they are paying a rate based on a gentleman's agreement at financial institutions, a method that practically incentivizes those banks to game the system to maximize their profits. And remember, the British Bankers Association, the group that is responsible for setting the rate, is not a government agency. It's just a trade group of big banks, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, and the Deutsche Bank, and others, whose decisions on such a crucial number are not based on honest accounting or rules or regulatory oversight, but rather on a gentleman's agreement of honesty. We don't know just how deep this scandal goes, but the fact is that if a fundamental component of our financial system has been or is being manipulated, we have the right to know about it. Banks are not above the law, and they should not be allowed to operate in secrecy, especially when they have a history of taxpayer bailout and when we are forced to rely on them to provide capital for economic growth. So that, in a nutshell, kind of explains how the global Libor interest rates have been manipulated over the years by a group of private banking institutions. And a lot of us have known that this has been going on for quite some time now. It's really the Rothschild banking dynasty who have been manipulating the markets and setting the standards as far as how to calculate interest rates and just how to rob the nations of the world, basically, through their debt-based system. This all stems from the Rothschild banking dynasty, essentially. When you follow the money, you will eventually come to that name, no doubt. So anyways, it is good news today that some of these scandals are beginning to be revealed. People are beginning to realize that these guys are amounting to, as I said earlier, a global crime syndicate, which is manipulating the markets and doing it all for their own profits. And we brought up a little bit of this in a video report, I think it was a few months ago, called The Money Changers Then and Now. So just in case you missed that one, I'll put a link to that in the description so you could check it out. We kind of break down the history of the Rothschild banking family and how they got to the point of manipulating the markets today. And also I want to put in another link for you just in case you haven't seen this yet, but I think it's absolutely crucial viewing for anybody who wants to understand the current banking system and how we are all manipulated under it. And that film is, of course, The Money Masters. It's just jam-packed with solid information about how the banking system works and about how the system of the debt-based system operates in general. It's a lengthy documentary. I believe it's over 4 hours long, but well worth the watch. Contains a lot of really useful information when it comes to understanding these scams that are going on a global level. And so when you have a chance, you can check those out in the description, guys. And that is all for today. Thank you for tuning in once again, and I'll see you all right back here tomorrow. See ya.